Hey, what's up? I'm Alyssa if you're new here, and today I'm going to be telling you all about how to apply to FIT and my tips and tricks on how to get in. I just graduated from FIT's Fashion Design Bachelor's, specifically for women's sportswear, and I have definitely gained a lot of knowledge, and especially listening to my professors over the years. Some of them have been on the admissions boards, and they have definitely explained a lot as to what they're looking for. So I just wanted to share what I've learned over the years, and hopefully this will help you get in. So the first thing you need to do is apply to the SUNY's application, and the steps of that are the essay. You need to submit school transcripts, you need to submit your portfolio, you need to also, if you are from another country and English isn't your first language, you need to complete the English proficiency test. And then a not required but suggested option for number 5 is the ACT and SAT scores. So it's definitely not required. I did not submit mine, if I remember correctly, because I was coming from another college. But if you're coming straight out of high school, I definitely suggest trying your hardest on those and submitting your scores, because it can definitely help you if you get good scores. And then aside from the SUNY application, you also have to do FIT's application, which is completely different. So the first step is SUNY, and then you go into FIT's, and they'll give you a login and password and everything for you to start working on it. So the first thing you have to do is a short essay. And I read back on both of my essays. My first SUNY essay was basically just me explaining who I was and why I would be a great fit for FIT. I know that's super cookie cutter, but I explained that my uncle had been a photographer and worked with Vogue and all these people, and my nana was a designer and taught me how to draw figures with the S-curve at the kitchen table growing up, and how I took all these sewing classes and just fell in love with the process. So I know it feels weird, but you need to learn how to fight for yourself and just sell yourself. And you're going to be doing that with school, and then you're also going to be doing that once you get into the industry as well. So might as well get used to it now. So now getting back into the FIT application. The short essay is literally 250 words. So the question for that is, in 250 words or less, provide an example of when your point of view differed from a teacher or employer during an evaluation of your performance. How did you handle the situation? So they do this specifically because fashion design is such a subjective thing to study, especially in college. So you might create something and you might be so proud of it and you put your heart and soul into it, and then it comes time to critique in class, and everything is meant to be constructive criticism, but if you do not have thick skin, I have seen classmates get into full-blown World War III with professors at FIT, and that's just not professional. You need to be able to take feedback and work off of it. So, you know, in the industry after school, if you get bad feedback on something, you can't just say, well, I'm right. Guess what? It's probably not going to sell. It's not going to do well. And that means your job's on the line. So they're doing this just to see your level of professionalism. I think I wrote briefly about an experience at my old college where I was really struggling in a class, and I was doing everything I could to go to office hours, see the professor. I was going to every single study hall or like tutoring session that was available during the whole semester. And when push came to shove, I think I failed the class by a point, and I begged this professor for just to pass me in the class because I'd worked so hard and I just really had struggled with the material. And he still did not budge, and I failed that class. And I just spoke about how even after the discussion in his office, I didn't freak out, I didn't call him names. I just, you know, I said, okay, I have to work a little bit harder when I take the class a second time. And that is the way of showing that you're mature enough to roll with the punches and adapt to situations. Okay, now it gets into the actual portfolio. So you have to do, project 1 is mix and match, and I couldn't find the files, so I found the physical drawings. Guys, don't make fun of me. These aren't that bad, but I found the physical drawings. I used Photoshop to make my whole portfolio and submit it online, but I had my hand drawings to refer to. So the first project is mix and match designs. You basically create two different looks using the same top, but you also need to design a jacket, a pant, and a skirt with these two looks. And this is where you also have to make a mood board. So you make a mood board involving a destination that this person would be and where they would be wearing these clothes, and then you do a mix and match collection, basically. So these are my chicks. They have the same top on, and skirt, jacket, pant. This was 5 years ago. So I did that. They were in Sedona, Arizona. That's why, okay, boho was in back then, first of all. So that's why they look like this. The next project, number 2, is fashion design artwork, where you submit 4 to 8 sketches. This is where I made this, and I'll explain. They didn't really have to do with each other. This one I was trying to get like creative. And then that. So I just showed like a variety of different styles. And this one, you might be wondering why she looks naked. I learned how to use Photoshop in 8th grade. So I wanted to show that that was a skill set that I had, that I knew that they taught at the school. So I took a picture of this, cropped it out on Photoshop, and then I overlaid the lace swatch that I used into the maxi skirt to show that I knew how to do that. So it was like a very pretty intricate lace detail, and you could see her skin underneath and the shoes and everything, but it just showed the really delicate white lace overlay. Another thing to look into is like, this is supposed to be suede and this is leather. So I watched Zoe Hong's videos, who I'm definitely linking below in the description. She is amazing at explaining how to render certain fabrics and whatnot, and portfolios. So, this face. It is so insane watching your progress from when you first apply all the way to graduation. So this is a project I did my first year at FIT, and this shows you everything. So basically it was an H&M project. So these are flat sketches, and they're called that because it's how clothing would be constructed, and it's how it would look if it was lying flat on a floor or whatever. So these are my swatches down here. Those are my flats, and then these are my 4 figures. And here is where you can see, for example, this swatch is a really dainty little floral pattern. So when I did it here, it's just a bunch of scribbles and whatnot and dots, but you can tell that the scale is much more pushed back. Same with the stripe. They are much closer together in the top than they are in the actual swatch, because it's as if it was back. So this is the type of things they'll be looking for. It's like, show shadows in places where there would be shadows, like the inside of a leg. Think of it as if the light was coming from one side. You're gonna have light on the side where the sun is, and then shadows on the side where the sun isn't. So yeah, this is a way better example of what I could have submitted to FIT. But I learned it once I got there, so it's fine. So I made this my junior year at FIT, but just to show you a mood board. This was a lingerie collection inspired by the movie Mad Max. So a little philosophy, and then I just like photoshopped inspiration images and parts of the movie. And then this shows a little bit more, and these are all my fabrics in Color Story. So again, Zoe Hong does a really good job of explaining all of like the logistics of mood boards, creating a story, and kind of like translating your designs into that. But just make it unique to you. That's all you can really do, because it's going to be so much more authentic to yourself if you can create a mood or a story that somehow ties into yourself. Just be as creative as you want to be with this. Okay, and project number 3 is the sewing portion. So I highly suggest to get some patterns from online or Joann's, go buy some fabric and just start experimenting and learning how the sewing machine works. So these were the 3 garments that I submitted for the sewing portion. This is a super basic pencil skirt. I did not create this from scratch. It was a store-bought pattern, but what you would do with this is either put it on yourself or a friend, take a photograph of them in front of a plain white or light wall. You can either Photoshop around and then just, I think I wrote on like Photoshop or something in the corner what it was. I said like fully sewn by myself. So you need a front view, a back view, and then the third shot can be a detail shot. So in here I would showcase that I put a hook and eye in here, like a close-up of the hook and eye and the zipper, or if you did the inside really neatly and like serged it or something. Like here I did either like an overlock or a serger to clean the edges. That's what the third detail picture is gonna be. So front, back, and then a detail shot for 3 garments. This is the second garment I made. This was another one that I bought the pattern at Joann's and then sewed it. I made this one in high school. I was so proud of this. I'm still proud of this, honestly. Doing this was not easy. Ooh, the whole like little neck situation, it's like super interfaced. The little collar gathering and pockets. I was really proud of this. I made this in high school, yeah. So I put this on myself and my roommate took pictures of me in front of my plain wall, front, I think front, side, and back, but I should have done front, back, and then just like detail shots of like all the little things that I did here. Like the button, like I really went in on this one. And for the third garment, I made this while I was at Oneonta. So I know it's a little matronly, but it had a lot of cool features to it, like the collar and the buttons, and it's like really well finished with facings and the side zipper and everything. But the good thing about this garment was that I draped it from scratch. So I was able to indicate in the corner, like in the other 2, I said pre-bought patterns, fully sewn by myself. This one I wrote in the corner, fully draped, fit, and sewn by myself. So this showed that I already had knowledge on how to drape and flat pattern. It's not required going into fashion design. I had so many classmates that had never touched sewing machines or draped or done any flat pattern, but if you can learn, it's gonna put you ahead of everyone else who's applying, so it does not hurt by any means. Now I'm just gonna go over 10 tips that I have if you're really serious about applying to FIT, and if you do these things, you're definitely gonna set yourself up for success. So the first one is focus on your grades. I don't care if you're in high school or if you're in college. FIT is a really competitive school. When I applied for the 1-year program, I got waitlisted actually. So I had to take half a semester off between transferring just to get into my program because only 30 of us were accepted out of, I think they said over like 2,000 or 3,000 applications. So I was grateful to be waitlisted, and I know that's not the case for everyone, but yeah, really focus on your grades, because especially if you were going into like a business or something, it really matters most for those type of majors. But for design, you have a little bit of leeway if they see that you have drawing potential and that they can expand off of what you already know, then you're gonna set yourself up really well. My second tip is to come up with a really personalized concept story with your mood boards. There's nothing that the staff and admissions loves more than a story that is so personal to you, whether it's about your grandparents or your upbringing or a struggle you went through in life or something that was super inspiring to you. If it's personal to you, it means that much more, and they know that you're a deep thinker and that you can come up with a lot of creative ideas on your own. Number 3, pretty obvious, practice sewing. I was lucky enough to take sewing in middle school, and then in high school I literally took 3 classes. I took clothing construction 1, 2, and then a fashion design class in high school. So I had a lot of opportunities to sit down at the machine and get a little bit of guidance, but even if you don't, there are so many ways for you to learn on your own. YouTube. And guess what? I got a machine in high school for $200 on sale. It's a Janome, and I cannot believe how much that machine has done for me over the years. I've had it since high school. It's still working perfectly now, and I'm not kidding you. I sewed my leather jacket for my term garment 2 years ago with this machine. It is a tank. So if you can get your hands on a machine and just start doing little test trials, and you're gonna fail, you're gonna mess up, but that's the only way you're gonna get good at something. So just learn slowly. The next obvious tip is practice drawing. Practice your sketching. I think freshman year at FIT we take a nude drawing class just to understand proportions of the human body and anatomy, honestly. And then as you progress in the years, you take model drawing classes, you take portfolio classes, and you start to really get better, but you also start kind of finding your own style and getting a lot better progress-wise with your drawing. Practice your faces, practice rendering different types of fabrics. I'm gonna link a couple of videos below of how to do like a chiffon, a fur, a velvet, and how to create depth with your drawings. And instead of making it look so flat, it'll look like it's popping out at you a little bit. So just the more realistic you make it look, the better, and the more that they'll take you seriously and consider you as a student. Number 5, whether it's your sketching or your physical garments, make creative pieces, but make sure they're also wearable. Like I've mentioned before, one of my professors, my leather professor, she's so funny, kept running into the class during my junior year, and she'd be so frustrated because she was teaching one of the associate level classes, and she's like, this one student is killing me. This girl's so talented, but for her term garment, she was dead set on making a garment that had no armholes. So listen, if you're in your senior thesis and you want to get super creative, go for it. But your first 2 years at FIT, you're learning all the basics. You're taking all the basic sewing classes, all the garment classes, portfolio. You're building your foundation to be creative as a designer. So my teacher was trying to explain to this girl, how are you gonna do anything if you don't have armholes and you're stuck inside something like a straitjacket? And this girl just wouldn't budge and would fight her on it every day. So as much as sometimes, yes, think out of the box creatively, also be reasonable in a day-to-day atmosphere. How are you gonna drive? How are you gonna do everyday errands if you don't have armholes to, you know, it's just not practical. So be practical and realistic, even though you're gonna be creative too. Number 6 is to follow the portfolio instructions to a T. I cannot tell you how many times I've had professors explain to us that something as simple as cut a 2x2 swatch and plop it on your portfolio. If you make it a rectangle, if you make it a circle, if you make it anything but what they're telling you, they take your portfolio and they throw it to the side. They don't even want to look at your application because that's showing them that you're doing what you want to do and you're not following the directions. So even though you're going to get creative freedom more and more as your schooling goes on, you need to learn first, and then you kind of get the freedom to do what you want as the years go on. And it's just getting you ready for the real world, because if your boss tells you to do something one way and then you do it the complete opposite way, you're probably not gonna have your job for that long. So it's just reality of it. Number 7 is don't sleep on the essays. Watch your grammar. Make sure you're selling yourself and explaining how badly you want to be there and how you deserve to be there. and how you're gonna benefit the school. I did a really good job. I just read back on mine of explaining the clubs I was involved in and the sports teams I was involved in, and how if I went to FIT I was interested in continuing that. And in some ways I did. I didn't end up playing soccer like I used to, but I joined the art and design club and I was involved with things on campus to a degree, even though I was super swamped at school. So they just want to know that you're going to be like a well-rounded, nice addition to the school. So just sell yourself on that and just explain why you'd be a great fit. Number 8 might be the most important in all of this. You need to be self-motivated. No one's going to hand this to you. No one's going to hold your hand and bring you along and get you into this school. You need to do the sewing. You need to work on yourself and your own craft, and you need to want it. You need to want it really, really badly. I pulled all-nighters at my old school, and I pulled even more all-nighters at FIT once I got there. So you need to just work on anything. Work on Photoshop, work on Illustrator, work on your drawing skills, understand sewing construction and how to lay out a pattern and cut it. Everything that you know is adding to your toolbox, and that is going to take you so far in life, not just for applying to this school, but for applying for your jobs and getting promotions in your career. So really, just, you have to be a lifelong learner. Even after all these years of sewing and learning design and knowing how to make clothes from scratch, I am still always learning and always perfecting my craft. So it's just something that you really need to want on your own. Some of my classmates know how to hand knit. I wish I did. I'm probably gonna try to learn soon, but I'm scared. But yeah, I have classmates that have hand knit complete garments and gone into the knitwear program and did so well. Basically, the more you know, the more qualified you're going to be for a position over other people. So just learn as much as you can and take it all in before you apply, and then also once you get in. Number 9 is another huge one. If you are in the tri-state area or you have the summer, some time off, you need to take advantage of the pre-college programs at FIT. I went online and I was shocked at how many courses there are for the pre-college programs. You can even start in middle school, you can do it in high school. I think they have longer programs, shorter programs, but basically you dorm at FIT or you can commute in, but they have everything. There's drawing classes, portfolio classes, sewing classes, just like screen printing classes, textiles. It's literally for every major that you can like dip your toe into different types of classes with the pre-college. And not only that, you are networking. You are meeting the actual professors that are teaching at FIT currently. They're teaching you, and then they're teaching us during the semester as well. So definitely take advantage of the pre-college programs if you have the means to and the time to, because you're gonna learn so much that you'll be able to apply to the portfolios, and you're also just gonna get your foot in the door quite literally because you're gonna be there on campus. So you'll get to feel it out, see if it's the school you want to be at, and see if it's for you, you know? And tip number 10 is be smart and use the resources that are at your fingertips. We have YouTube that can literally teach you anything. I linked a bunch of YouTube channels down below. I've mentioned Zoe Hong a bunch of times. I've watched her videos for a long time. Another channel that's really good for portfolios and rendering is F Sketcher. I left her portfolio and like channel down below. Not portfolio. I left her channel down below. And another one is Deziel. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but she has an amazing YouTube channel for clothing construction and patterning and everything like that. So just type into the freaking Google search bar or YouTube search bar what you want to know, and it's right there. So that's all tying back to being self-motivating. If you want it, you can do it. So yeah. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was super helpful for anyone who's looking to apply to FIT. Just know that you can do it. Just work your butt off and you'll get it done. And if you have any questions, don't be shy to slide into my DMs and ask me anything. I love to help anyone out. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.